Yeah, today's August 21st, 2018. Got some Dr. Ott morning glories here. Nice little insect, you get pollen covered legs. Okay, I used to live up on a place called Afton Mountain, Blue Ridge Parkway. And they had an antique shop. This guy I worked for a guy that had an antique shop, okay. Feathers, interesting there, sort of bluish gray. Whatever the case, worked at the antique shop and he rented me a house, you know, so everything worked out in my, you know, early years career, probably in the 80s. Whatever the case, they had an old house that it was like a resort, and the big house burnt down. You still had the little houses surrounding, okay, and these little houses are two-story Victorian type deals. And I got the upstairs, downstairs, okay, was this person, this guy, this man, Major Thomas Prue, okay. Major Thomas Prue had been retired, had been a prisoner of war in World War II. He told me that he was a sergeant, that he had taken MacArthur's luggage down to the PT boat, and they went on back, and then they got surrendered. Everybody talks about the Bataan Death March. He didn't say anything about that. He said that they sent him to China with some others, and I was asking him about different atrocities and all those sort of things, and he said, you know, he said it didn't happen that way. He said if they started hitting you, the best thing to do would be just to crumble up and go down quick, because if you stood there and kept taking it, that would only offend them, okay. As far as that, it was a movie scene where the guy, you know, the Japanese, you know, they keep hitting, you know. He said that wasn't the right thing to do. He worked. It was kind of like a prisoner of war prison. He worked at a metal lathe, and he was turning. I didn't say what he was making. He's probably some kind of bomb armament, something like. Whatever the case, it's cold in China in this place that he's at. And he's got gloves on, cloth gloves, cheap cloth gloves, and a string caught on the gloves and flipped his wrist over, broke his wrist, okay. So they didn't really do that much about it, and it started healing, but it started healing crooked. So the guys, fellow prisoners, they said, we're going to have to break it again and get it straight. So he goes along with this. Okay, so they get his arm out and they hit it with like a stick or something, a club maybe, you know, and it didn't break. Here, they hit it again, didn't break. At that point, it was like, it's okay, man. Let's just leave it like this. And then he showed me his arm, and it did have a crook in it. So that's that. Then talked about the latrine a little bit. You know, that if you had an infection or something, they'd go down there and get the maggots on it and all that. They did that number. And he was sick or not feeling good at one time someplace in the factory, wherever they were making whatever they were making, and he goes down in the basement and crawls up on a heating thing to kind of rest and everything and get warm, you know, because you're trying to make it. And one of the Japanese guards came and roused him out, but they didn't write him up, because if they had written him up, it could have been serious problems for him. But whatever the case, so as time goes by, within like 2 or 3 weeks before the surrender, he said he could detect a difference with the Japanese soldiers, and they were kind of getting edgy and whatever, and they get surrendered. Okay, war's over. U.S. troops at the prison camp, and then the guys, the Japanese prison guards, he called the one that helped him out and didn't write him up when he was sitting on the heat thing, you know, and the guy said he couldn't remember anything about it. Whatever. And he also had, every morning they would have a fallout, you know, line up, that sort of thing, and they would have a number, and he would, you know, do his number out in Japanese, and he said that, and I can't remember what his number was. But it rolls along. I saw a picture of him with his pajamas on in the you know, hospital after he got liberated. Goes on to marry a, you know, a model, and so. I said, well, what about the food? Did they feed you? He says, well, the Japanese didn't have a lot to eat themselves, you know. So I thought maybe he was suffering from a little bit of the Stockholm Syndrome type thing. I don't know. I just wanted to get this information out, disseminate it a little bit, and, you know, add value. It's a couple little things I've missed, you know, but beats a blank. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.